Hello there, devoted Celtic supporters. It's another day bringing you the latest from Parkhead, and the January transfer window chatter is heating up more than ever. Before we dive into the thick of it, it's worth acknowledging just how loyal this fan base is. Whether you've been following the club for decades or just joined the Celtic family recently, the passion here is unmistakable. The transfer window is always a tense time, and this year is no different, especially with the deadline extending into February the 2nd, thanks to January the 31st and February the 1st landing on a weekend. That gives the board a few extra days to weigh up options, make calls, and hopefully secure some vital signings before the window slams shut. And if there's one thing we know about Celtic, it's that they rarely rush, even when fans are practically counting down the minutes to a big fixture. Now, talking about the recent transfer summit, reports suggest that Martin O'Neill, Michael Nicholson, Sean Maloney, and a host of scouting staff gathered at Lennoxtown just the other evening. The focus, apparently, is to take stock of potential targets and decide which deals to push forward. The buzz seems to indicate that a striker is at the very top of the priority list, while there's also attention on wide players, central defenders, and perhaps even a goalkeeper. Realistically, though, signing a goalkeeper at this stage seems highly unlikely. Most of the chatter points towards a striker coming in, potentially a winger and a centre-back. And while a central midfielder would be a welcome addition, there's been very little mention of that in these meetings. For fans, these gatherings are expected, almost routine, yet we can't help but watch and hope that the club acts decisively before the next big game. Speaking of deadlines, every supporter has had a few in mind this season, hasn't there? First, it was the start of the competitive season, then the Kayat tie, followed by the New Year derby, and now the upcoming Hearts game on Sunday. Every one of these matches has carried a sense of urgency, a hope that new faces might bolster the squad in time. But the reality is that Celtic rarely seem to operate on such a timetable. The only true deadline that matters to the club is the end of the transfer window itself. Fans can speculate endlessly about potential arrivals, but the board moves at its own pace, often leaving supporters to cling to the hope that new players will arrive just in time to make a difference. Will we get someone in before Hearts? Quite possibly, but nothing is guaranteed, and the sense of tension in the fan base is palpable. When it comes to strikers, the situation has been a roller coaster. Callum Wilson was initially linked with a move, but that idea has firmly vanished after he stayed with West Ham and even scored a dramatic late winner in a London derby. Franko Kovic, the Croatian striker, seemed a tempting target given his prolific season, but he's heading to Ferencvaros for a reported £2.5 million. Then there's David Datro Fofana, currently recalled by Chelsea from his loan in Turkey. Despite playing for the struggling Fatih Karagümrük, he's managed to net 6 goals in 13 league appearances, showing glimpses of the type of forward who could contribute at Celtic. Yet, recent chatter suggests that even he might not be arriving in Glasgow, potentially signing elsewhere like Hearts instead. Meanwhile, options such as Kieran Bowie at Hibs and Muhammad Bamba of Loro are floating around, though Bamba's record of just 1 goal in 16 league matches this season hardly excites the imagination. The search for reinforcements isn't limited to forwards. Central defence has been another area of focus, with names like Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, Stephen Welsh, and Dane Murray being mooted as potential additions. There was also some interest in Swiss defender Aurel Aminda from Eintracht Frankfurt, though that's now complicated by managerial changes at the German side, making a move unlikely. The centre of midfield arguably needs more attention than the back line, yet the club seems quiet on that front. Wingers are also on the radar, with Ignacio Laquintana from Brazil being one name discussed weeks ago, though his status is uncertain now. More recent talk involves Tuanda Massi of Motherwell, a tricky and pacey winger who could add dynamism, and with Martin O'Neill spotted at the Motherwell game. It suggests Celtic are keeping tabs closely on emerging talent in Scotland. Adding to the complexity, Celtic's dealings have sometimes been clumsy from an outside perspective. The recent attempt to approach Leeds United over Joel Pirro highlights this, with reports indicating that the approach was met with bemusement at Elland Road. The fact that Celtic seemingly underestimated the close operational links between Leeds and Rangers, both under 49ers enterprises, paints a picture of a club occasionally out of step with broader football politics. While fans focus on potential new signings, the board has at times appeared unprepared or misjudged. The nuances of negotiations are giving other clubs cause to laugh off proposals and adding to the frustration among supporters. This is not a new phenomenon for Celtic, but it certainly adds a layer of anxiety during the window. All of this comes against the backdrop of European fixtures, with a trip to Bologna looming. Some fans will see this game as vital, others less so, but the underlying truth is that squad reinforcements could significantly affect the club's chances in continental competition. The focus then remains on identifying the right players who can integrate quickly, make a tangible difference, and ensure the team maintains momentum across domestic and European campaigns. With the window open for just a few more weeks, every decision becomes magnified, every rumor scrutinized, and every potential signing dissected by a fan base that feels the highs and lows intensely. As we examine the list of potential additions, it's clear that Celtic are looking for players who can offer versatility, creativity, and consistency. The board seems determined to strengthen multiple positions simultaneously, yet the transfer market is a chaotic environment, and the right deals don't always materialize as hoped. From strikers to defenders to midfielders and wingers, every position carries its own complexities, with financial constraints, player availability, and competition from other clubs adding layers of difficulty. Fans watch with a mix of anticipation and skepticism, knowing that the board's track record in negotiations is uneven and that patience is often required even when urgency feels paramount. Ultimately, the January window is shaping up to be another test of Celtic's ability to make timely, decisive moves. Every report, every rumor, and every meeting is analyzed to see if the club can navigate this tricky period successfully. Supporters continue to hope for that striker who can lead the line with authority, a winger who can create chances out wide, and a midfielder who can control games. The challenge is significant and the stakes are high, but as ever, Celtic fans remain passionate, vocal, and engaged, ready to support the club through every twist and turn of the transfer saga. Turning our attention back to the striker search, it's been a roller coaster of names, possibilities, and dead ends, and Celtic supporters have had to endure every twist. David Datro Fofana remains a tantalizing option on paper, a player capable of linking play, drifting into channels, and finishing with composure. The fact that he's been recalled to Chelsea adds a layer of uncertainty, though. Even if there's interest from Celtic, it's far from guaranteed, and the whispers about Hearts potentially landing him instead only intensify the tension. among fans. Then there's the recurring talk of Kieran Bowie at Hibs and Mohamed Bamba at Loro, neither of whom inspire the kind of excitement the Parkhead faithful crave. Bamba's record particularly has been underwhelming this season, and yet somehow he remains in the conversation, a reminder of the frustrating unpredictability of the transfer market. Every new report brings a flurry of speculation, but as ever, the reality is that Celtic often operate quietly behind the scenes, leaving fans grasping at rumours with a mix of hope and exasperation. Looking beyond the forwards, the midfield remains a silent concern. The team has shown glimpses of cohesion, but there's still a sense that creativity and control in the centre could be improved. Players like Ignacio Laquintana were linked weeks ago, with mentions that he might have even been to Celtic Park under the previous management, yet with Wilfried Nancy gone and Paul Tisdale moving on, it's unclear whether these approaches are still active. Meanwhile, the chatter around Toanda Massey of Motherwell hints at Celtic keeping their options open, scouting young wingers who could inject pace and trickery into a side that sometimes struggles to break down resolute defences. Massey impressed at the Africa Cup of Nations, and the thought of him in green and white strips fans with optimism, though nothing is confirmed. Reports suggest Martin O'Neill and Mark Fodden attended the Motherwell Cup game, maintaining a keen eye on talent, signalling that while some moves might be slow, scouting continues in earnest. On the defensive front, the club's options have been discussed at length, but practical realities often temper expectation. Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, Stephen Welsh and Dane Murray are all mooted as potential additions, yet none offer the guarantee of immediate transformation. And even interest in Aurel Amenda of Eintracht Frankfurt seems stalled following managerial upheaval in Germany. When Marco Rose steps in, it's unlikely the club will allow a player who has seen regular minutes to depart mid-season. Meanwhile, Celtic continue to balance the desire to strengthen at the back with the more pressing need for creativity in midfield and finishing up front. It's a delicate juggling act, and one that highlights the complexity of squad management during the January window. Fans are left to speculate, debate, and occasionally despair, hoping that the board will make the right decisions before the window closes. Then there's the curious case of Celtic's approach to Leeds United regarding Joel Piero. Reports suggest that this was received with bemusement, if not outright laughter, at Elland Road. It seems Celtic may have underestimated the relationship between Leeds and Rangers, both operating under 49ers enterprises, highlighting a wider issue of understanding in negotiations. Such missteps can make the club appear unprepared or lacking the professionalism expected at this level, and supporters have taken notice. From a fan's perspective, this can be frustrating, particularly during a period when the team could benefit from decisive and intelligent action. Every misjudged approach, every delayed signing contributes to a narrative of unpredictability surrounding Celtic's transfer dealings, which adds tension to an already stressful window. In terms of European fixtures, the trip to Bologna is looming, and the stakes there are significant. Whether fans care deeply or casually about this tie, the reality is that reinforcements could be crucial. The squad's depth will be tested, and the timing of any new arrivals could directly affect performance on the continent. A striker who can finish chances, a winger who can unsettle opponents, and a midfielder who can control tempo might all prove decisive. Yet, as ever, The reality of securing such players before crucial fixtures is a challenge, and the fan base can only hope that the board acts swiftly and wisely. The window's final weeks are shaping up to be a frantic period, with the pressure mounting on the club to deliver signings that can make an immediate impact. Across all discussions, one theme becomes clear. Celtic operate in a complex, sometimes frustrating way, balancing ambition with reality. Fans hope for impact signings, yet the combination of financial constraints, competition from other clubs, and the unpredictability of the market means that results are never guaranteed. Strikers come and go from the rumour mill, midfield and defensive targets fluctuate, and supporters are left to piece together the puzzle from incomplete information. The board's approach, while strategic, often feels slow to those watching from the terraces or following every report online. Each day brings new speculation, new names, and renewed hope. But the underlying tension remains that crucial decisions must still be made before the window slams shut. As the club navigates this period, supporters continue to analyze every report with scrutiny. Rumors about strikers like Fofana, Bowie, and Bamba circulate daily, while wingers such as Massey and potential midfield additions add to the mix. Defensive options are constantly evaluated, yet the sense remains that creativity in the middle of the park might be the priority. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers from the continent are stirring up a storm in Scottish football, and it's all centred on Celtic and their beleaguered boss, Martin O'Neill. The North Irishman, a figure once celebrated for his steely demeanour and tactical now finds himself under a harsh glare after what insiders are calling a humiliating press conference in Italy. Bologna's head coach, brimming with confidence, reportedly did not hold back, openly mocking O'Neill's side and claiming they intend to give them a football lesson. Sources close to the squad suggest that tensions are running high within Celtic's dressing room. Rumours hint that some players are unsettled by O'Neill's methods, which, while previously successful, are now being questioned against continental opposition. The Italian media, never shy of a provocative headline, have painted the Hoops as amateurs, lacking the tactical sharpness and intensity that Bologna expects to face. Whether this is bravado or a genuine insight into the clash ahead remains to be seen, but the narrative is gaining traction. The speculation doesn't end at the touchline. Pundits in Scotland are already dissecting whether O'Neill's experience in European competitions is enough to withstand such public criticism. Observers argue that while his domestic record is formidable, European nights require a different temperament, a mix of audacity and pragmatism that Celtic may struggle to deliver. Rumours also suggest that the team's recent performances, which have been inconsistent, have fueled Bologna's outspoken comments. Some insiders whisper that the Italian coach sees a psychological edge in undermining O'Neill before the two sides meet, attempting to destabilize the Celtic squad before a ball is even kicked. Meanwhile, fans are divided. Some cling to the nostalgia of O'Neill's past triumphs, believing he can weather the storm and turn the tables, while others worry that the team's mentality may be fragile, especially under such pointed ridicule. The speculation has only intensified chatter across social media and sports shows, with analysts dissecting every training snippet and press quote for signs of cracks or resilience. Whether this will spark a fierce response on the pitch or crumble into yet another footnote in European football gossip is anyone's guess. What's certain is that the Celtic name is back in the spotlight. not for a dazzling display of skill, but for being at the center of a narrative charged with tension, national pride, and the unrelenting pressure of continental scrutiny. As the whispers grow louder, one thing is clear. All eyes are on O'Neill and his squad, waiting to see if the Northern Irishman can turn criticism into motivation, or if Bologna's taunt will echo louder than any roar from Celtic Park. Hello fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.